So, wallahi, this is a true story. I remember this is going back about 7 years. I'm driving with one of my friends. In fact, I was driving, I'm sitting with one of my friends, and he's telling me, look, you're doing well for yourself. How does it feel now? Right. And he was coming from an avenue because he had a family member who was making a lot of money. And this family member would sometimes come across a little bit arrogant, basically. And he was like, wow, like you're making 3-4 times this person who was coming across arrogant. How does it feel? And I remember at the time being so scared. Like I'm having this conversation and wallahi, like I remember feeling like, man, I'm scared. So let me take you back 7 years. What it was is I was, working a job. I was working a job and I was making good money, right? I was making about £70,000 a year. Take home salary was well above £3,000 a month. And so, one would say I was making a decent amount of money. But at the time, I felt like it's just not enough. Okay, now whatever the reasons might be, I wanted to aspire for more. So I left my job. I started my own company. Now, what was my goal? My intention, my niyyah at the time was let my business be a means for me to get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. And I want to quit my job and make the same amount. If I can make £3,000 sitting at home and have free time, flexibility, not have to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go into the office, fantastic. You know what? I can't really ask for more than that. So that did happen. And I'll tell you, I started my company in October. 3 months later, I was making about £5,000-6,000 a month. And I was, whoa, this is crazy. And in fact, I ended up taking out an office 3 months after that where I was paying £500-600 a month. And that felt like a huge achievement. Like paying £600 towards an office. Now, not only have I replaced my job with a business and I'm making good money as in £3,000-4,000, more than that, but I'm spending money trying to grow a business. That sounded ludicrous. But this conversation that I had with my friend happened 6-7 months down the line where I was making £20,000 a month. Now, by the way, you guys shouldn't believe me. So here's the bank statements proving exactly how much money I was making. Feel free to go back and pause it and just go through the numbers. It's all there. I'm as transparent as you can possibly be. What was I doing though? What did I do? What's the blueprint, right? Well, what I did is turn up every single day. That's number one. I want to be clear in something, right? I will tell you exactly what I did, but I turned up every single day and I would just do 20-25% every day. And that's something not a lot of people do. People aren't willing to do 20-25% every day, but I did. A lot of people will fall into this bad habit of, you know what, I'm going to put in 100%. I'm going to work as hard as possible. 2-3 weeks later, they do the work, they work hard, but that's it, right? You have to do 20% consistently over 2 or 3 years. That is when you will see the fruits. I did it over 6 months, I saw the fruits. But those first 6 months, I have to be honest, I did at least, 60-70% effort. I had bad days. I had days where I got lazy. But the key there is next day you turn up again and you turn up again and you turn up again, right? So what was I doing? Well, my whole business idea, my whole business plan, I worked a job, the same job that I worked. I left that job and then I went and started my own company. So what was that, right? So I was working a job in recruitment. So I left that job and started my own company. And basically what I started day one, right? I started sending emails out. I remember this quite clearly. I started sending emails out, emailing clients and saying, do you need anyone? Is there anything I can help you with, etc., etc. A lot of companies came back and said, we might need some help. We might need this. We might need that. Qadar Allah, I do believe that my intention was pure at that point, that I wanted my business to be a means for me to get close to Allah, practice the religion more, be a better Muslim. That is honestly one of the biggest reasons I believe that it worked out for me. Okay. Company came back, and they're like, yeah, we need someone. I sent a CV, got the job. And I'm like, wow, I've just made £3,000-4,000. 6 months later, I was working with 5 different companies, helping people get jobs in these companies. So I would find the people, I would get them the job in these companies. I would charge a percentage, and I'll explain how it works. Is if someone's on a £40,000 a year salary, I would help find that person a job within the company. The company would pay me 15% as a minimum. That was the average. Some companies I charge 20%, by the way. So I would charge 15%, meaning £6,000 for one person. I would make, placing this person into a job. Now, £6,000, by the way. So, some it was less. Some the salaries were like at the time, by the way, this is going back 7-8 years, £19,000-20,000 a year was actually legal, right? So some were like £19,000-20,000, 12-13%, quick little fee. how long would it take? A couple of days, 2 or 3 days. I'd find the person, put him into the company. They'd say, yep, get him in on Monday. He will start on Monday, or she will start on Monday. And I would send them an invoice. 30 days later, I would get paid into my bank account, right? That's how quickly it was. And so I was finding the people jobs, getting them a job into the company. And that is exactly how I scaled it to then 6 months later, making £20,000 a month. Now, let me be absolutely clear. It was scary as heck going from £3,000 to £20,000 a month. Genuinely, if you think I'm exaggerating, that I was super scared. And the one thing I did? I don't like to talk about this stuff often. I started giving back for the sake of Allah, because I realized Allah's blessed me. I was scared. I was like, this is so much money, from 3 to 20 within 6 months. Do you know how that's a £17,000, jump? In essence, my salary increased by like 600%, right? I could never have imagined it. And I'll tell you one thing. My intention was at the time pure. And today, it's something that I have to work on every single day, because if at the time my intention was that my business should be a means for me to get closer to Allah, well, now that a situation has happened, what now am I doing, right? And I want to make a separate video on this. And I will make a separate video on how does this make you a better person? How do you keep checking your goals? How do you now, you've achieved 10, 15, 20,000 pounds. Well, are your goals the same as when you wanted to leave your job, make hijrah, leave your job, be there for your family, etc.? What do you do now? So I'm going to make a separate video on that. The point is this though. It is scary. One of the best ways that worked for me was obviously starting a recruitment company. I just turned up consistently. I made up to £20,000. I've shown you bank statements. Look, it is something that we help other people start for themselves as well. We help other people start their own recruitment company. Again, leave your details in the link. More than happy, some of the members will get in touch with you, talk you through the process and how we can help you starting your own company. We've helped hundreds of people start their own recruitment companies. Bearing in mind, it's not just the UK, it's the US, it's Europe, it's Saudi Arabia, it's the Middle East. Actually, the market is huge when it comes to recruitment. You can supply people anywhere in the world. And in fact, you can do the work from anywhere in the world. So I started in the UK. I now do recruitment from Dubai. I've done recruitment from Pakistan. I do recruitment with Saudi Arabia. I've done it with Dubai. I've done it with Germany. I've done it with Spain. I've done it with the UK. I've done it with the US. Market's massive. There is more than enough for every single person. More than enough. The pie is big enough, as they always say, right? So look, I'll say this. I'm going to make more and more videos for you guys. I have been a little bit missing. As some of you know, my father passed away. Allah yarhamu. But I'm back. I'm making more videos for you guys. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. More will come.